Hello again, and welcome to the Wide World of Wargaming Age of Sigmar podcast. As always, we are your hosts. This is going to be Alex, John, Garrett, and Jeremy. We are going to do another Zoom call because it's great to see each other's bright, shiny faces and see who has and who has not kept their grooming up, or who has not, subjugated themselves to clippers or with their partner and shears or whatever. Starting off as normal, John, what's on your workbench for this week?
Hey, Alex, how you doing? Jeremy, Garrett, good to see you guys. See to everybody's wonderful faces. It's almost like I'm going out on the town right now. This is as close as it gets nowadays. So I have had a wonderful, wonderful week of hobby. It took my first week of being in the house to kind of get all my sitting around doing nothing out of my system. And now into my second week, I've been in a bit of a hobby frenzy. I started my week off actually doing something a little fun. On Monday, I received a copy of Saturnine, which is the new limited edition Siege of Terra book. This was a signed copy from Dan Abbott. Nothing special. I just happened to get lucky and ordered it from the GW website. One of those things where I was not going to buy any of the limited editions, but I got to the website and it was there and available. And I'm like, well, it's there and it's available, so I might as well buy it. So I bought it. So I did this unboxing of this, and you guys are going to laugh. So probably, 2 or 3 years ago, I sent a friend request to Dan Abnett as I was doing all the GW folks and media, kind of when they re-engaged with media a few years ago. And the day after I posted the YouTube video of the unboxing his book, Dan Abnett accepted my friend request. So now we're friends on Facebook, I guess. So I thought that was pretty funny. So I was just like, I guess the guy did a review of my book. I guess I'll accept this friend request. The fact that it's been sitting there for a long time, I thought was fun on its own. Other than that, I managed to paint 20 intercessors. Here, for those of us watching in on YouTube, I've got my desk cam going on. So I've painted up 20 intercessors. I figured it would be very embarrassing to go through this quarantine time and not actually have painted an entire army that's been sitting around on my bench. I also painted these guys, got some base coating on them, and got some primer over on these guys. So that's 9 aggressors for you in audio land, and then some more characters for my collection there. And of course, that also means that I have the fine whiskey cam available here. So tonight we're going to have a little bit of the St. George's single malt whiskey. Let's see here. Pour that over here there. Very
so John,
nice.
You actually measure your drinks. You just pour yourself one shot. You don't just go for it.
Yeah, no, I don't just go for it. It's all very carefully measured, And then,
so what he's saying is
almost as if it's his career.
Almost.
What he's trying to say is that we need to up our webcam games, and each of us now need to be able to switch from camera 1 to camera 2 and have our own little thing go on, because clearly
you don't have the whiskey cam. What do you have going on? So, that's about it for me.
This is my camera. This is my camera. This is my whiskey.
Well, excuse me, Alex. Now, we all learned last week that you're fancy guy who decanters all his alcohol into the fancy bottles. So I don't have that going on yet, but maybe we'll add that. I'll get some Crystal Chantelet, and we can kind of do everything like that. Sorry, that was not real French, and only can't get away with it with Jeremy.
The worst part is you have a French actor blown up behind you, and you're just disappointed now.
You see his face actually look down on me when I said that. He's like, "What was that bullshit?"
That disappointment.
Oh, there's nothing more I can do beyond that. So, Garrett, my friend, sitting over there quietly in the corner with the puppy in the background. Save me from myself. What are you doing this week, my friend?
Well, it's early in the week, so I'm kind of taking things day by day at this point. A lot of work. Haven't really got much hobby in the last week or so. Still working on my city's army. I have been reading a lot, actually. I just decided to start over the Wheel of Time series because of the Amazon show coming out. So this is the second one. So I finished the first two, and I'm almost done with the third one. And that's all I own right now. So I have to wait. I just ordered the next three, and hopefully I won't finish those in a week. So I've been doing a lot of reading, hanging out with the wife. My wife's been sewing a lot, so helping her out with that. She's got her sewing table and sewing machine set up. It's actually my gaming tables that she just puts her sewing stuff on.
I can relate to that. It's what happens when you create a surface.
So taking my dogs for walks, training that little guy. I got the little peanuts in the back where we're doing some, puppy core training and exercises. But that's just kind of chilling. Downloaded a new game yesterday that I've been waiting for forever. So Mountain Blade Warband Bannerlord is a fantastic game.
Looks fun. I got motion sickness in the 2-minute preview video that Garrett sent me. I watched it and then had to go lay down for an hour.
Wait, you got motion sickness from Mount Blade?
Me?
Wait.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, watching the video.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's not. Wait, hold on. I'm kind of ignorant about this. This isn't a first-person shooter. This is right.
It's a third person.
You can play.
You could do first person. You could play in the first person. It's like an adventure hack and slash, but then there's also a campaign map where you travel from battle to battle. But the battles themselves are actual third person. Order your troops around from the ground level and do things as a third person hack and slash.
Well, I know that, but I was under the assumption that our good friend John here only got the motion sickness from FPS.
FPS and Ferris wheels, right?
I mean, anything that
this
swings,
case,
I'm guessing.
Yeah, it was the video. It was the actual video itself. I could, if I played that game, I would be able to stabilize my camera and do a lot of panning rather than spinning. But the person who was like playing that game was like head on a swivel, like that, and 2 minutes of that, and I was like, why did I even watch this?
And it is a first. It is an FPS. It's just a first person stabber. Like you stab people in first person. So it's very good. It's a really cool design. It's like playing Total War, except you're like playing the general
down there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was what I observed about it too. It looked fun, man. Looks like the kind of game I would love in another life.
Yeah. It's
life now.
Mountain Blade Warband is the game I have the most hours on in Steam, and so I've been really looking forward to this game for a long time.
Wait, the most hours? More than Civ?
More than Civ. I have almost 300 hours on it. So
300.
Yeah, I mean, one of my friends has 2,600 hours on Dota 2. So I'm not a crazy video gamer, but I have about.
I
love that your standard is that.
People who don't track hours and stuff. There are 2,080 working hours in a year. That is, if you work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's 2,080 hours.
Yeah, I think
your buddy has 2,600 hours in Dota. I mean, I love me some Dota. I've got a couple hundred hours of Dota, but not no thousands. Holy crap!
Yeah, maybe it might not be 2,600, but it's over 2,000. I know that. So
amazing.
So yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. Not trying to get the energy to paint, but I just got a lot of tasks around the house, cooking and stuff like that. And
you know, Garrett, you got to do what I did. I actually just set all my paint stuff out here on the desk, and it was now in my way. And I just have now found, like, as I leave it out, I walk up and I paint like one miniature, and then it's like tedious, and I walk away and do something. And I keep coming back, and throughout the day, I managed to get a lot done just by every time I kind of have a minute go 5, 10, 20 minutes here or there and throughout the day.
So my wife has just banished me to the basement. So this is actually my work desk. And
now, I got you. Now, you've been sent to the basement. Is this because you've stopped bathing during the quarantine? And she's just like, no, you are a foul man. We're just going to put you down in the basement. You're not shaving. Boy. You're not changing your clothes. We're going to lock you down there.
No.
Or is there something else going on?
Well, I work from home normally. And so when she had to come work from home, I was like, there's no way I'm working in the same room as you, because she'd come home from work before I'm done working and she'd bother the shit out of me. And it'd be annoying as hell.
Hold on. This is being recorded. You know,
Yeah, I know.
that, right?
Oh, she's very aware. She's very aware of my position on this. That it's like, if I'm trying to do work, I can't have her in the same room as me.
You sleep in the bed you make. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
And so she decided to work. She originally worked down here because her computer was right there. And then she decided that the basement was too dark and depressing, and so she took over a guest room. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll work in the basement. This will be my land. So I can't just, so I actually have to have like my laptop be able to be on my desk. So I can't just have, I used to have models here. I did that thing, John, where you just have models in the way, but I got to work 8-ish hours a day and the models got in the way. So
I mean, I hear you, Garrett, but I'm looking, there's some laptop, there's my desktop, there's some Legos. I mean, it's where there's a will, there's a way, my friend.
Yeah, you try effective. I could not imagine you working on that laptop like for 8 hours in that position and sitting though.
Oh well, okay, that's true.
So, anyways, enough about my wonderful work schedule. Jeremy, how are you? How are you doing? You seem crunched over that laptop right there.
Yeah, I'm handling it. It's not the greatest time, for Warhammer. And much like you, I have no motivations to paint because I have no pending events, no real, like, I guess, incentives other than, I guess, like, the fact that I have time on my hands to paint, in a sense. No, I was just, I've been, much like you, I've been playing a lot of video games outside of work. And mostly right now I'm playing Path of Exile because it's a nice, good, like, break in once in a while. Me and my brother play that. It's kind of our way to, connect over, like, since he lives in Denver and I live in Portland. But other than that, I wanted to, in a show's appreciation to John, I did prepare this today for the show, which is St. George's Gin, Terroir Gin to be technically, and it's my favorite gin I think I've ever had, and I'm not a big gin fan, so it's saying a lot. It's saying the amount of alcohol I drink that I would drink this over whiskey. Is the conclusion from that.
That's amazing. I randomly chose the St. George's today myself, so that's most excellent. And I remember that gin. That is the gin that they actually describe as a hike up Mount Tamalpais.
Yeah. Yeah. It has a very earthy, piney, like, flavor profile. Like, when I drink this gin, it reminds me of the West Coast, basically. Like, that's really what it does. So I personally love this gin. Not because it has a French word in it, but because it tastes very good and it reminds me of the West Coast. So that's my workbench is filled with gaming and drinking and eating. And if at the end of this damn thing I'm not 30 pounds more than I started, I will pat myself on the back.
Yeah, that's been a lot of effort. We've been making a real effort to go out for walks and exercises and even just doing laps around the living room because I'm real afraid of I'm a fat ass to begin with. so there's only one bad direction to go. There's an easy direction and a hard direction. And I've been working very hard at the hard direction for a long time. So I feel you, Jeremy. But you're looking sexy and svelte, my friend. I see you there.
You.
I see you there.
I definitely, like, it was the worst part of the series. Like, right before this happened, I just started, like, running again and got in a good discipline about doing it. Was like running almost every day, and for 3 weeks before this, and now I'm like, don't have a treadmill in the house, can't go to the gym. I guess I could run outside, but to be honest, I think it's disrespectful to do. No offense to anybody, but I think, like, if you have a shelter in order place, you should not be even running outside. Should not be going outside as much as possible.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. We've actually found because between where I live in Morgan Hill and San Jose, there's about 10 miles of open farm country, Coyote Valley, and we've actually been going on to sort of deserted back farm roads and just parking randomly and walking a mile up the road and a mile back, and that's our daily walk each day, is just finding these deserted farm roads where there's literally nobody around.
Yeah. I mean, it's taking a gamble. I know it sounds like overly, like, cautious, but it's just I have family that and I also don't want to get my wife sick if preferable, so don't want to do that. And then
Well, yeah, it's funny. We're finding too. We come back, so we're out and about, but we're literally like encountering no humans. Like, so it's just my
That's
wife and
perfect.
I are walking our back. But we're coming back and we're like, oh, should we do a drive-through? Or and every time it's like, no, let's just go home. Let's just go home.
yeah,
So.
yeah. The I did want to say one of the downside of like this entire like event is I've been spending a lot of time, if I'm not hobbying, I've been designing and coming up with like different army projects I would like to consider, like kind of think outside of the box here for things. And then like, the problem is I keep doing this to myself. I get excited about like the prospect of something, and I'm like, I can't order any of this for months.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's just like, so yeah, yeah, Alex, like, what's on your workbench?
Well,
Not
eBay
much.
sellers are still selling. eBay sellers are still selling.
I'll tell you right now, I completely understand that because I got frustrated. I've been trying to make sure that my Chaos Knights are ready to get all worked up, and then I realized that I wasn't happy with the armor carapace of one of my Questoris Knights. So I was like, oh, I'll just buy the Forge World armor kit. No big deal. And then I saw like everywhere I would normally get it, and Forge World itself, they're all like, they're all out. Or they're all like, no, we're not doing it. Yeah, and so right now I've been looking at like STL files and like 3D print files that maybe our good friend Kyle might be able to oblige and help a brother out, because I'm looking at like files for shoulder and armor blades or armor, just overall. And then I actually found a 3D file for something that looks very close to the Majera armor, which is like the Forge World Mechanicum armor. And I was only further excited when I realized that even with everything that's been going on, Engine War is still coming out soon, which is, the 40K AdMech book. I was expecting the Adepticon preview, which we're going to talk about later, to talk a little bit about Chronicrons, but that's not the case. Turns out there's going to be a Psychic Awakening book that's going to be even more heavily implied Necrons later on from what we've seen, and we'll talk about later too. But yeah. I'm kind of I'm exploring the idea of maybe getting a 3D print for armor plates, because there's just not going to be anyone who's going to be able to readily sell them unless it's eBay or something. My workbench is really, just that. I'm waiting for my Legio models order to arrive for 2 Armigers, 2 Mechanicum, Dark Mechanicum Armiger builds for, again, 40K. Don't have a lot of AoS on my workbench. I technically am about 90% done with my Bone Reaper army, which I can just do a few highlights and like fully black rim everything and maybe do one more dry brush on like one model, and then I'm fully done and ready to be sealed. And I guess I'm just kind of holding off because of the same thing. Like there's not a lot of wind in my sails.
Well, Alex, I saw you talking about ideas for your display board, which is your next step.
It boils down to that. It boils down to attempting to make a computer or build a computer and search and research the parts, and then which Jeremy's given me a lot of information about, and then also display board. That's really what it's boiled down to. A lot of research that I put on Twitter about display boards, and still trying to figure out how to fully make it work, but we are gonna get there. We're gonna figure that one out. Well, the big question was whether or not I do one that fits, make a display board that fits specifically into the FLG board or not. And no matter what, it's not something you would fly with. It was something you would just, travel in our very normally vibrant scene with. But
unless you're Ricky and you decide to travel with basically a display board that's the size of like 3 small children put together. Yes,
and fully put it in a box that is ready to go with
a customized box for it.
He is heavily committed, but he's also a fantastic artist. So, you would have to just only describe his stuff as art. That's and again, same situation. Like I could easily begin working on a display board, but there's nowhere I'm gonna display it unless it's at home and I just post stuff online. Which is fine and dandy, but yes, yet there's not much to display. Yeah, besides that, similar situation, kind of crazy to stay sane. I finally this weekend was like, oh, wait, I'm a health coach. Why don't I just become my own coach? Because if not, I'm going to if not, I'm going to gain the COVID-19.
What's that?
Is that what they call it? You either catch it or you gain it?
Well, the freshman 15, right?
Yeah.
We'll call it the COVID-19.
What was that? Was that a phrase? Cobbler's children's go without shoes or whatever.
I have no idea.
You've never heard it? It's
That's
like
an
basically
interesting idiom.
Yeah, have you not heard that one before?
No.
Yeah, it's talking about mechanics always having broken down cars.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see what you're
yeah,
doing.
Being
yeah.
married to a massage therapist and never getting a massage. I don't know.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, that very much.
Those who teach don't do.
Exactly. Exactly. Do as I say, not as I do. But yeah. So I've been trying to get my shit together. We have a login, I think, from my fiance's for my future sister-in-law for Les Mills workouts that I've been looking at. But I have some weights at home, and I've been doing a lot of like Derby workouts, which is like an infographic style, like one-off workshop or one-off workout like website. I'm doing several of those programs, but they truly are like very simple workouts, which means that like they're pretty easy. So I just I add things to them and make them more complex. But it is a struggle. Like it is tough trying to avoid that stuff because we're also like eating out a little bit more specifically to help reinforce local businesses. Like normally we'll only go out once a week, barring like a tournament. And now we have a rule of like 3 days a week, specifically because we want to help these like businesses out.
Are you doing like pickup or delivery or?
Some places are automatic delivery only, but we've been doing pickup when we can. We've actually been considering, I'm not a big cardio guy, I'm a big weights guy. So I've already got on my Amazon shopping cart like several different weight benches and weights that I'm going to buy just to have like a workout, to be able to actually do the amount of resistance training that I want to do, but from home, despite the challenges that I'm not just able to go to the gym. And quite frankly, once the gym opens up, which it will in like 2 weeks, I got the email yesterday, I will not go for a while. So it's one of those things where it's like, no matter what, I have time to kill, so I might as well do it.
Yeah. And then you got to do something. It's like we have one of the Nordic track ellipticals, and we just use it for occasional workout. But since we've been stuck at home, it's become our everyday. And so I went ahead and refired up our iFit subscription, which gives us these like daily workout.
Very cool.
Like I did this one the other day where it was because you have a video screen, so you're following this coach, but he was doing a hike through was it one of the cities in Bosnia. So it was kind of interesting. So he was like going through and talking about the Bosnian-Croatian War and visited like some historical sites, but at the same time you're getting your exercise on, so it's like some history and exercise at the same time with the fresh visuals. It was pretty cool. It was quite enjoyable. And then when you got that kind of stimulus, like you don't even think about the workout. Like that's who I am. It's like I'm not into working out, but I love history, so I don't even notice it. So that's pretty cool. Yeah,
and that's actually something that's I think that's helpful. So thankfully too, my fiance and I, we've been trying to actually expand on cardio. So we've been doing like hikes on like less, like we were going to go to a popular hill nearby in Mount Tabor, and like we just drove. We didn't even park. So there's so many people there, and we were like, that is irresponsible. So we just drove away, and we found one of my favorite parks in the area is near law school, Reed College. There's a rhododendron garden, which also is busy, but there are walking paths and like waterfront trails that like no one's at. So we did a random hike at like a wildlife preserve nearby, and we realized no one was there. So we just said like, well, hey, why don't we just get our running shoes and maybe we start jogging over there, because it's like flat and it's paved and no one's there. And it's cardio, so we might as well expand on our cardio, because I'll tell you right now, when the gym's open, I don't do any cardio. So it's probably something that I should be doing. So that's basically what we have in mind. But in terms of workbench, it's literally just getting my nice prepared for extra armor that is going to come in the mail, and nothing with AoS right now, unless I do the display board, which I'll need motivation with. What else is on my workbench, though? I actually have a triad of stuff. I have a holy trinity of dirty iced chai, so coffee and chai that keep to stay awake. The Bud Light seltzer, because wanted to try that
Where's your
instead.
White Claw? Where's the claw, man?
Bud Light Seltzer. The fuck? What is that?
Why isn't it just not called the Budweiser Seltzer? Why is it
don't-
going to be Bud Light?
Don't you kink shame me, everyone.
No, it's not.
And then,
I'm just very curious.
No, it's okay, Alex. You got me to try one of those White Claws last year at Nova, and it was good.
yeah.
So,
And I also got my Pendleton Midnight just
There you
to
go.
have that. So I got my holy trinity of stimulant and
Downers, uppers, and uppers.
Yeah, mixing uppers and downers. Very health coach like.
but you got an energy drink off to the side there too.
Absolutely not. Will not do.
No,
Will not
no,
touch
he's
the
just-
stuff.
He's just got grounded up elephant tusk. Don't worry about it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, dragon bone.
Yeah, that's right.
Potent,
That's right.
makes you potent. Anyways, we do want to talk about the things that happened this weekend, whether it's the Adepticon preview, of course, and some other kind of rumor mills that have come about today. But we want to start off with that FAQ. I know that, Jeremy, your favorite army in the world, Seraphon, they just got their FAQ, and it didn't last a month. They got their normal 2
they
weeks
did a good
after
job.
release. So first and
Yeah.
foremost, I want to congratulate Games Workshop for being timely on the FAQ release because that's helpful. But I guess they got a lot of time.
That actually- That brings up a good point. I'm wondering, this is just me spitballing. The fact that, so obviously there wasn't much like outside of like post-release playtesting of this book. This book came out and then no events, like all the events shut down at that point. I'm wondering if these FAQs are lined up before the book even comes out. Like if a lot of the playtesting from the book misses the deadline of the book and they actually they have these FAQs lined up.
No.
Like these are playtester FAQ items is what you're
Yeah.
going for there.
I think you're giving them far too much credit.
I was literally getting pinged by one of the playtesters who got an early copy of the FAQ asking like if there should be anything added to it. And I was like, can you tell me what's in it? He's like, no, then I don't know.
Right.
So no,
So what you're really saying is this is some dude at his desk who's trolling the internet, hitting some forums, hitting some Facebook, maybe following the Twitter feeds, and coming up with a fantasy FAQ.
Yeah, something like that.
it's like a draft for like ruling changing.
Is it one of those scenarios where it's just like a monkey behind the keyboard, and if you get enough monkeys, they'll write a correct FAQ?
The technical term is a mechanical Turk. Is what you're looking
Yeah.
for.
Got it.
Also known as Amazon services.
Right.
Don't let James find that one out.
No, but yeah, Mechanical Turk's actually pretty legit. But
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's funny, but it's a real thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But, so I mean, Jeremy, I kind of glanced through this FAQ. The errata, like, do you see anything in the errata that's significant and worth
Well,
like anything that's like
just
big change?
Let's appreciate I think the errata has the one with the Fangs of Sotek one, the Fangs of Sotek command ability, where they're basically double down on telling people, no, it's only chameleon skinks and skink units we can use it. Because it was already in the book, but it was like they didn't bold the word skink, but then they said skink Fangs of Sotek skink units, not bolded. Follow using these war scrolls only, skinks and chameleon skinks can use this command ability, and then the fact bolded the skink word before and just basically said no guys, like really, like not everything with the skink keyword can use it, just these two war scrolls. I don't know why
they have this a unit cannot benefit from this command ability once per phase. Was that in the book as well, or was that added in the errata?
No, I believe it was in the book originally as well.
Okay, because I noticed that gets added a lot in erratas where they keep forgetting to add that freaking phrase that they need to add every fucking time.
Yeah.
And
Well, I noticed that they also made it clear about the endless spells, because we were talking about that a couple weeks ago. I know that was real
that's
concern.
in the designer commentary.
that's in the designer commentary.
Well, and the FAQ does address one thing, because with Bone Reaper's Soulbound endless spells, those are always at the start of before any other endless spells are moved. So they kind of ask, they say, what happens if you play a Bone Reaper guy and he's got a Soulbound spell? Does your bound spell go second, or what happens? And it says that you actually have to roll off then.
Yeah.
Which I would
Yeah,
assume.
Why they did it that way.
That's all in the designer commentary. So I don't think there's
No, that's in the
anything
FAQ.
big. The errata or the designer's commentary?
That's in the. Oh shit! Yeah, I am. Okay.
So just a clarification,
Yeah.
there is no such thing called an FAQ. These are all the FAQs, and then they break them up into erratas and designer commentaries, which the designer commentaries are the question and answers, and the errata is the changes to text.
Just do this.
You're really fun at parties.
Do this.
Yeah.
Dig it deeper in my skull. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's so the only major errata change was this one. I don't think we should talk about the other one. I can't think of another reason.
Oh, I think we should.
We should talk about those because obviously these two have opinions about it. Let's go.
No. Continue though. Continue. You got more stuff. Parting shot. I'm glad parting shot from Finch's Sotek got addressed. Did you see that there was also they had to change the damage table for the Stegodon to make sense as well?
Oh, really? What was that? What was wrong with it?
It was overlapping.
It was overlapping, similar to Catacross.
Oh, okay.
I think these guys. It's just more proof that they need to slow down on these books and get more editing done.
Also, the Ripperdactyl Chief, you can't use his command ability more than once on a unit, which was great because otherwise you could go a little nutty.
His command ability just gives you +1 to hit on the beaks. So. And they're already hitting on 3s, so I guess like it was like only if you're fighting like minus to hit modifiers, I guess.
Oh yeah, you could offset minus to hit modifiers.
Yeah. So it was like, like it's okay. It's like that's not really that important.
I guess specifying the mount on this, if this,
so that one's interesting.
Yeah, the riders are the mount. Did I read that correctly? Is that how they're saying it? Is that the guys on top are treated as the mount?
If you have a Stegodon, if you put a Skink Chief on it, the Stegodon becomes the mount.
No, I don't think that's what it says. I think
this model includes a Skink Chief. The Stegodon becomes this model's mount.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it says.
Oh, okay, I guess so.
But this goes into because before they started doing this explicitly stating the mount thing, everyone just assumed what were mounts were. Maw Crusher back in the day, everyone knew the Maw Crusher was the mount, or the Frosthorn was the mount, Stonehorn. But there was no explicit stating, and so now they're actually explicitly stating these are the mount attacks. These are what the mount is, and it's really nice that they're doing that.
It's because command traits and relics don't apply to mounts.
But back in the day, we all just agreed what the mount was, and it was never a problem.
So I did read that correctly. Yeah, so it says right here. The crew. This model has a skink crew that attacks with meteoric javelins. For the rules purposes, the crew are treated in the same manner as a mount.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and so they're saying that the Skink Chief, if you add a Skink Chief to the Stegodon, the Stegodon also becomes a mount.
They just don't want you to take +1 to hit relic or something and applies it to all their attacks. It only applies it to the attacks of the Skink
Chief. Yeah.
Skink Chief.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, I think we're talking about two different war scrolls that have similar.
There's the.
I'm talking about the Engine of the Gods.
But it's the same
errata
thing, basically.
Yeah.
They just forgot to mention the mount traits or the mount. What is the mount versus not the mount, basically. But the designer commentaries where the biggest changes happen, including the change to celestial summoning, basically, where there was I wouldn't say confusion, but there was an open. They wrote the rule kind of open-ended, so people could assume that you could trade any number of casts you had on a Slon or Oracle unit for summoning points.
Like how it used to be, basically.
Like how it used to be. But Games Workshop was I remember there was a Wargaming community article where they said you only get to do this once, and then they basically the designer commentary says yes, you can only do this once per Slana Oracle.
Because the way that it was worded, So the way that it was worded was they can get rid of a cast to do this, but I don't think they explicitly stated can this be done once for hero phase.
Yeah, that's right. So people are thinking about taking 6 Slon lists with 30, 6D3 plus 7D3 summoning points and summoning a dread sword on turn 1. No, that's not a thing.
So we can't have our 6 Slon list to summon 2 dread saurians a turn.
Well, one every turn, so it'd be 6
one every
dread
turn.
saurians. So they changed that, and then what else did they changed? What so for
What's
me?
this about the armor save thing that's in there?
Yes, there you go.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that,
let's
I
talk
was
about
reading
that.
that, and it something about it. I don't know. It seems like I don't get it. Why does it ignore rend? I mean, right? It's something about that. Like, let me read the rule to you first off. Okay, so I'm looking at this thing. Hey, no, I'm serious, man. I'm looking at this thing, right? And where is it? Okay, how does the rend characteristic of attacks interact with the Bastillodon while it has a 1+ save characteristic? And for people who don't know, at the top profile, a Bastillodon has a 1+ save for the first, I think, 2 wounds that it takes. And it says an unmodified save roll of a 1 always fails. So that's a blanket statement from the game, from the rule book. When a save is modified by the rend characteristic of an attack, it can never be modified less than 1. When a model has a save characteristic of 1+, modified save rolls of 1 are successfully saved. This means that while the Bastillodon has a save characteristic of 1+, only unmodified save rolls of 1 will inflict damage regardless of the rend characteristic of the weapon used for the attack. And what, Jeremy, did I chase him away? Did he give up? What happened there? I was flipped away from the screen to read the rule. I come back to get some clarification from Jeremy, and he's gone. He's so traumatized by this crazy rule that he had to run away from the screen. I knew that.
He was looking at his whiskey glass. He was hearing you talk, and then he was looking at the errata, and he looks at the errata, and then he hears you, and he looks at the errata, and he looks at your screen again, and he goes, "We're gonna need a bigger boat," and he just
No,
goes and gets more boats.
I was getting some therapy from my puppy that's sitting next to me.
There you go. So I guess so. First things I'm going to say is the last sentence of that FAQ is the most important if you just want a too long didn't read. Person with a 1+ save, they have an unrendable 2-up save. That is what it ultimately means.
So when I have my 2+ save character and I put him in cover, I get to ignore rend no matter what. That's what this is saying.
That's not how that works.
Because I got some Skaven stuff that I've already got some ideas of how I can use this 1+ save mechanic.
The particular thing is that his save characteristic, his unmodified save characteristic, is a 1+. So without any modifiers on it, he has a 1+ save. So what that means is that when you roll a die, if the result is a 1 or better, you succeed. But unmodified 1s always fail. So that's why you will always fail on a 1. If the die roll comes up and it's a 1, like ignoring all modifiers, just like whatever it is, you roll. If that's a 1, you fail. So how the issue with this wording, which is why they worded it, this is why it got ruled this way, is they say modifiers can never. So modifiers to a roll can never bring the roll lower than a 1. So if you rolled a 1, or you rolled a 3, for example, and you got -4 to that roll, it would be a -1, but that can't be lower than a 1, so it becomes a 1.
It can't be a 0 either.
It was just lower than a 1. So if you got -3 to the roll, so if you roll a die and you apply -3 to that roll, it becomes a 0, which then becomes a 1. So the key difference here is that the difference between a modified roll and an unmodified roll. So only unmodified rolls of 1 fail. Modified rolls 1 can succeed. And since this has a 1+ save, it says I pass all checks on a 1 or better.
Oh, I see. Right.
So
and that's because we're modifying the dice when we roll. We're not actually modifying the save. We're not changing a 1+ save to a 2+ save when we apply rend.
Yeah.
We're modifying the roll that we made for the save by -1.
So this actually brought up an interesting thing I thought about. I have to go look at saves again.
Sense.
But in general, unmodified 6s succeed for like attacks and stuff.
Well, is that true in AoS or was that in the old edition?
I
There
believe
used to be a rule of 6. Is it still there?
Let's go through the rabbit hole, boys.
Yeah, right. Like I remember that in 2. They brought that back into 2.0 for attack, at least attacking and wounding. Unmodified 6s always succeed. You can't make
unmodified
somebody miss.
6s always succeed on an attack.
So if that's a blanket rule for all rolling, does that mean unmodified 6s to save always succeed no matter the modifier. So if you have a 5+ save,
Oh,
and they
that's
get Ren 3, a 6 always
Well,
succeeds now.
technically, if you have no
Stretch.
save, you still get to roll the dice, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. No. See, Jeremy, you still have a 5+ save, even though they have Ren 3. You don't have no save. You have a 5+ save,
A dash save
and
is
they're applying a -3 to
no. I
that
get you.
roll.
I'm just saying, like, if I had a 7+ save,
dash.
or no, they're 7+ now. I don't think they have dash anymore. I think they just downgraded them to make them 7+ now.
Yeah, I think there's a
Do
flat.
they
if you
actually
have-
say 7+? Because that's
I
what a
think-
dash was.
I think a dash they actually explicitly state is now a 7+.
Which is weird because then the argument is you can never roll a modified 7, unmodified 7, but you could
Yeah.
roll a modified 6.
Yeah, I'd have to look. I mean, I'm sure the unmodified 6s is only for attacking and wound rolls. I bet that's true. But
Yeah.
like,
So-
if you're saying that unmodified 1s always fail for rolls and unmodified 6s
let's
always
see-
pass,
I do have my 7-sided dice that we could break out here.
oh, Jesus.
Garrett, let's break it down for the audience.
Yeah.
All right, I roll 1, and the Ren characteristic of the weapon is 1. Do I pass the save?
Do you have you rolled a 1? The die roll showed up a 1.
So no, let me correct that. I rolled a 2 and I have -1. Do I pass the save?
Yes.
Okay, I rolled a 2 and the Ren is -2. Do I pass the save?
Yes.
The roll is a 2 and the Ren is -3. Do I pass the save?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, as I said, that last sentence of the FAQ is the too long didn't read. If you have a 1+ save, you have an unrendable 2-up save. Like that's the too long didn't read. Like, there you go.
I get it. Now, to be clear, the Bastiladon is uniquely the only model, the only unit in the entire game that has a 1+ save on the War Scroll.
There might be one obscure order unit. I would imagine.
I think that's the only one in the game right now.
Yeah. But yes, like, so getting I think the big difference is that people have to understand is that when you modify your save, you have to look to say, does it modify your save characteristic or does it modify your save rolls? Like, for example, Bronzed Flesh from Korn. They say add 1 to the save rolls of that unit, which means when you roll the die, you add 1 to whatever the die facing is. So, for example, you rolled a 3, add 1 to it, that die facing now should be a 4.
Yeah.
And so then you check that against your save characteristic. So Skull Crushers have a 3+ save, which means they pass on when the modified value of the die facing is a 3 or better. So if I roll a die and I have +1 to that, if I rolled a 3, I add +1 to that, becomes a 4, and then you have Rend 2, goes down to a 2. The die roll is now a 2. I have a 3+ save. I fail. That's how the math actually works on save rolls. It's not Rend and modifiers to saves don't modify your save characteristic. So giving +1 save to my Skull Crushers doesn't give them a 2+ save. It gives them an effective 2+ save.
So
That's the big difference here.
this is where I come in and say how badly designed this rule is.
Yeah.
Because of the interactions with spells that modify saves and modify save rolls.
Save rolls. Yeah.
So
Yeah, as I say, because there's some spells that actually change
right.
your
Your
armor save.
There
and
is
then
no
there's
spell that changes your armor save. There's only spells that modify your save, and some spells modify your save roll.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So-
Excuse me.
Yeah. So, like, for example, Rust Fang. Rust Fang is a relic. You give somebody -1 save. This is where it's really frustrating where they are being very vague at times. I wish they would be explicit. Is this the characteristic or the roll? What do you mean? There's a lot of things that say add +3 to your move. Is that your move roll? Is that your move characteristic? Is that the distance you move? Because I'm noticing there's a lot of things like that. Like, for example, skeletal horns. They say if your move roll was less than 6, your move distance is 6, which is why when you have cogs up, you don't get an auto aided charge with them because cogs add +2 to your charge rolls. And so if you roll 2 dice and you got like a 3 on 2 dice, you add 2 to that, it's a 5. 5 is less than 6, you move 6. But if you rolled 2 dice, got a 5. Add 2 to that becomes 7.
Yep.
7 is greater than 6. You still go 7. You don't go 8.
Yeah, it's not to be nitpicky. It's just that fact ruling is absolutely hot garbage, in my opinion. In terms of like, yes, they're sticking to the rule book, but I don't think they're sticking to their intent, like, or the spirit of the rule in any shape or form. They're just saying.
I feel like this was a good opportunity for them to actually make a ruling to change it the other way. Like they could have said, "Oh, yes, it was written this way. We understand that."
Yeah.
But we're just going to errata it now because we didn't intend this to work this way. I wish they had done that.
Wait, on this particular one, so you think it shouldn't work this way? You think that rend should affect it?
Yes. Personally. I mean, an unrendable 2-up save, you throw a Mystic Shield on this guy and he has a rerollable unrendable save.
Well, yeah, you just got to put 2 mortal wounds on him for his first couple wounds, and then after that, you're good to go, right?
Yeah, that's all you got to do. That's it, you know?
But it's not even the rend problem. It's just the fact that, like, there's just the way
unintuitive.
It's not intuitive, and then also this implies as ramifications for, as Garrett said, like, to other like mechanics which are kind of ambiguous. That's saying, like, they don't say if it's the role, and they just refer to the, not even the characteristic, but like the name of it. So it just becomes like this kind of like, it was like kind of like the time for them to like really, like, most people I think have been playing it like as if like everything's modifiable or from a role basis, because it just makes the most sense. And then Games Workshop was like, fuck your sense, we're just gonna rewrite this with some bullshit logic, and then now the game becomes slightly more complicated. Like, this is going back to like the same period of time where when they changed, you can only reroll failed mechanics for a while, and they were like, it was so hated that like they're like, fuck it, we'll just rewrite it and say reroll everything. It doesn't matter.
And now you have unintended. I actually disagree. I really hated that they solved the reroll before modifiers by just giving everybody reroll everything, because they're like, oh, we fixed it. But now we have the unintended consequences where you can fish for 6s. And that was clearly not intended. That was the whole reason of rerolls before modifiers and saying reroll all failed, so people couldn't fish for 6s. And so it's like, I feel like they keep stabbing themselves in the foot by trying to ad hoc fix their own problems, when they should just say, screw it, we'll FAQ the rule book to make it how we wanted it to be in the first place. Like, Alex,
consistency is key here, and simplicity. Consistency and simplicity. And that this rule is just not consistent, nor is it simple. So,
Alex, you look like you're having a great time through this whole discussion.
I'm already at peace with how it is, and I'm not worried about it.
Okay, Alex.
You're
not going to face any Seraphon players for like another 3 months. So
there you go. Well, I mean, I saw online a lot of people were doing the like capital letter, lowercase letter, like the it's like, just do mortal wounds to them, and it's like, in a way, it is true. Just do mortal wounds to them, but also like weight of attacks, like an unmodified one. Well, a modified one technically will still fail, right? So
until they get Mystic Shield on them, and you fail 1 in 36.
It's the fact that now Archeon is less effective at killing a Bastiladon than like a group of 30 clan rats.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. In my Night Haunt army, this is the type of thing I would just swarm it with chain rats and be like, haha.
Does an Archeon do like 7 mystic bolts at it to kill it?
No.
You're thinking of Arc in a black.
You're thinking of Beast Claw Raiders or Nagash.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, so the other so moving on from this, I feel like we maybe, as Alex said, we have our rat piece with it.
My eyes already glazed over, and I was just like, I was just thinking about.
That's usually his face when I try to help him.
There it is, Jeremy. There's the glare.
I should be doing screen captures while we're recording. I just put like a little montage together.
Yeah, for his wedding. We should definitely put a montage for his wedding.
Don't give me ideas, Jeremy. I am way too devious of a person to give ideas.
Yeah, he is. How dare you? First of all,
John, I dare. I welcome you there.
John, you do the video editing. You could do screen grabs all you want.
There we go.
Thank you, Garrett.
Yeah.
I swear to God. I swear to God,
Anyway,
these people.
so there was one other thing in the designer's commentary that was worth mentioning, and it was the issue of, can you use both Malign Sorcery endless spells and the Bound endless spells? So at first, the answer is yes. Yes, you can use both of them. No, you may not use the same ones, which is
The
good.
overlapping ones.
You felt, was there a little tease when you read that? Because I know when I was reading the first one, I'm like, no, oh no, wait, what's the exact bad part of this? And you get to the next one, you're like, oh, okay, wait, never mind. Okay.
Yeah. I was like,
Okay.
oh, now I see why they had both of these. When I read the second one, I'm like, oh, okay. I
Faith
understand
restored.
why they had, yeah. So no double tapping Geminids, no double tapping Purple Suns.
And I just built a whole list around
double cogs on a Slon, so he has like 8-9 million casts.
Oh yeah, could you, if you had double Balewind, could you have a Balewind and then put a Balewind on a Balewind, and then like and then have a cog? You just put a cog like right there and a cog.
I hate that so much. I hate it so much.
Think about it. It's amazing.
I like
Actually,
it.
I actually don't think you could put a Balewind on a Balewind because the Balewind has to be placed wholly within 1 inch of the, not on top of other models, and the Balewind itself is a model.
Well, then you just put him next to each other, and he sits on top of it.
Oh wait, but the Balewind is the model itself. So when you set up the next one, and then it goes, well, this is my model, and I'm supposed to put it
just like
on the model.
This is doable. Not anymore. In open play, you can. Open play, you can do that.
Yeah, in open play, you could have 12 pendulums and just go nuts.
Yeah,
I'm sure you could play with rubber bands and little balls too in open play. I don't
Yeah,
think it matters.
and base sizes don't matter. Yeah,
I forged a narrative. I took a Slon, and this is his friends, the 12.
I would grab a Slon and I would cast 4 Balewinds every turn. So I bought a Slon, and the rest of my points are in Balewinds, so I cast 4 Balewinds. Okay, your turn. I'm just gonna cast 4 Balewinds. I'm just gonna tower my Balewinds, and you'll never catch me.
And then,
and you'd have to dispel them separately.
2
Yeah,
dress
exactly.
on turn 1. Anyway, back to reality, where the game is actually trying to be balanced. The other like designer commentary, which I thought was slightly interesting, was the fact that oh no, we already addressed the summoning changes, so never mind. Yeah. I've already talked about the only one that was interesting.
Yeah, that's designer commentary, Alex. We're good on FAQ.
I
It's okay, buddy. It's okay. Breathe. Breathe. I will say one thing though that I feel they missed, and this is even with the playtester asking me like what they I felt they missed the clarification on a couple weapon profiles. For like the spear and the sword on the Scar Veteran are the exact same profile.
Was that intended?
And the spear is 2-inch range, and the sword is not. So it's not right. Let me correct. It's not exactly the same. One is better than the other, and there is no advantage to the other one.
Yeah, because it doesn't have. There is no range difference is the problem, but it probably should have a range difference.
And then the Saurus Knights, like they have the same clubs as the basic Saurus Warriors, but they don't have a rend on it. But Saurus Warriors do. Like there's just kind of like this kind of like I don't know if they're like internal balance mechanics they decided to like write inside the book, or they're just typos, which clearly the book had typos.
Yeah.
So they didn't address those. I think they just left it for whoever to figure out, basically. Seraphon, maybe I'll get to see you.
What are you gonna do about that kind of stuff? It's funny. I read fiction novels, Black Library and otherwise, and I find typos and places where in editing they obviously put the different word than the author intended. Yep. And I've been listening to enough audiobooks lately where I'm finding that same thing where the person doing the audiobook is they just get into a mode, and at some point they pronounce the letters that are in front of them instead of saying the words. So you get some odd little insertions, and it's going to happen in a battle tome too. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not trying to like stand up for GW on these things. It's just that unfortunately it's kind of what we expect at this. If these books were going through 3, 4, 5, 6 different editions of printing, were out there for a year, and then a second release, a third release, we would expect this to be cleaned up. But this stuff is just flying out the door at a hell's pace, really. And if you look at not just Age of Sigmar, but you add 40K and Black Library and all that, GW is one hell of a publishing company.
Yeah, and to be honest, in retrospect or in comparison, they're doing a phenomenal job at it. In my mind, even though I bitch about it a lot, but like there's
we just want more. We just want better from them. Like we just want better. We complain because we want better from you.
I think for me it's and this is my personal take on it. I just want I want more transparency in how rules involvement is designed in the company.
Yeah,
That's what I want. And because I want, like back in the day, they used to put author's name on the books, the codex. And so I knew, like, if this was a Matt Ward book, I knew it was going to be bullshit.
But that's why they got rid of those names, is because these guys were getting, in the age of social media, these guys were getting hated upon,
Yeah, but you would have thought that was the incentive for the management structure to tell that guy, you're going to need to listen to your playtesters more. And if the playtesters aren't doing their job, then it becomes like, so not only should it have the author's name, it should have all the playtesting team's name on it. So you can you basically I want this to be, it's supposed to be a living rule set. Well, crowdsourcing is important in a living rule set. So let's just, I don't want to say shame them into doing a better job, but let's hold them accountable to doing a terrible job. So that's my take on it. Alex, you look very angry. You got a frown.
I'm way more at peace. I'm actually very zen about all of this.
You don't look like it.
That's not a zen face.
Resting bitch face. What can I say?
He's zen, but carries a heavy face.
Yes.
Or like the Kaizen face.
Kaizen, yeah. That's
looking for some continual improvement.
Yeah, that was a major keyword of Trader Joe's customer.
Kaizen is also a buzzword that just happens to be Japanese, and nobody should listen to it because it's terrible.
I bow to you, sir. Because I can't shake your hand. Well, let's talk about something different here, because I'm kind of seraphined out from you guys.
Please move on. You're the host.
Bastillodons are great. Anyways, there was a big Adepticon preview because, of course, no one's here at Adepticon. And we have a guest here tonight. Wait, hold on. Before we do anything else, who is this guest that we have? Who's that?
It's my better half. That's Dumpling.
Oh, we're about to get another one. Oh boy, we're all just doing this today.
Not me, man. I closed the door to the room. I want no dog in my face.
Too. Dixie is not going to jump in on this. Oh, and look at that. Very cute. Look at these doggos. Oh, you're going to put the headphones over the dogs.
Woof, woof. Oh, here we go. Let me communicate with your dog. Woof, woof. Woof, woof, woof. Woof,
Okay.
woof.
No.
Truly,
Nothing?
cabin fever has set in. This is how it starts, you guys. So of course we had part one of. So half of the hosts are now.
Jeremy's actual better half made a minor appearance there.
Yeah, quick cameo.
Hi.
Of course, the Adepticon preview part one came out last Saturday, and we, of course, got a lot of everything that Games Workshop has in store. They talked about the Warhammer, well, not that much Warhammer Underworlds, but they talked about, Warhammer Storyforge, which is their, way of having more, say, animated stuff, live action eventually. They of course, don't have a studio that's connected to them, but they are doing everything with TV and they're really trying to get the brand out there. They, of course, have Middle Earth, Psychic Awakening stuff, Fabulous Bill got released, Warcry models that are going to have a mediocre War Scroll that we don't need to go over. And, of course, Horus Heresy stuff, all that stuff. But what really matters here is Pointy Elves got all the final releases here looked at. And I know that we have...
No, I'll find
it. What?
I don't know if there's probably more.
No, there is
really?
More.
You think so?
In the video, there's a water maid.
There is the water one that's already been a part of the preview. The rumor. Well, no, the rumor.
Oh, the
engine,
rumor. Yeah, she was.
Yeah, someone's already connected that background image. And
yeah, they haven't finished. They're not finished.
They're not finished. Okay.
And
Wow.
what's this about? Maybe some terrain in the background, some mountains.
There's always that. In the Bone Reaper book, there were so many like, oh look, there's a fortification of bone, like a bone fort. We're gonna get a bone fort, and we never got a bone fort.
You got a bone fane.
You got your
Get a
giant bone idol instead.
I'll show you a bone idol.
You did get a bone fort. His name is Catacross.
That's fair. That's fair. And even in the Wrath of the Everchosen, people were like, "Oh, look, there's new chaos terrain coming out," and it's like, no, there's the Games Workshop team or the whoever, maybe it's Warhammer World, I don't know. They're great with making terrain that they will never make a kit out of. But
Heavy metal, I think.
heavy metal team, yeah, that makes sense. But Pointy Elves, I know that we all got some pretty differing opinions of everything. You know, we already knew about the floaty boy. I forgot the guy's name, the caster. The caster on the thing, but of course with Lumineth, they're split up. You know, they all take power from Highish in the lore, and there's like two main aspects. There's the aspect of the mountain, and then there's the aspect of it. I forgot. Is it the wind or is it just straight up light? I think it's wind, right? It's like wind and mountain.
So there's fire, moon, or sun, moon, wind, earth. So earth, wind, fire.
Are they literally just doing? I thought it was just two for.
No, there's so like Eltheron. I don't know how to pronounce his name actually. I think it's.
So Lumineth are straight up earth, wind, and fire.
Yes.
Got it.
And then.
And water.
And water.
And water.
Yeah.
But you have the Earth tribe, you have the Earth Nation, you have the Fire Nation, you have your Water tribes, and your Air tribes. Don't you know?
And then you have Avatar.
Yeah, and then you have the Avatar.
Great.
Period.
But it's so like Eltharion has two swords, and one has the rune for the moon / water, and then the other sword has the symbol for the fire / sun.
For our listeners, Etherion is the guy from Warhammer Fantasy, and he is now the armor. He's the armor that doesn't have a person in it.
The light of Etherion is the new model.
He's the floating armor.
So the sword of fire represents Tyrion, the sword of water represents Teclis.
Teclis, water, deepkin.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's going to be more models. I don't think they're done, and they might be later in.
I would love to just see an actual Teclis model. Like they'll probably make him like a monster-looking thing instead of just.
There is a Teclis model.
Teclis is out. You mean
it's
Tyrion?
the guy of the Phoenix, dude.
Sorry. I meant Tyrion.
Yeah.
I truly meant Tyrion. Yeah.
We'll see what he looks like when he comes out.
I'm sure they'll make him like a monster-looking thing. I don't think that they're going to come out with like a nice traditional-looking high elf and a mount again.
No, he's going to be like a big sheep guy, but he's going to be like a black sheep. So we have like black fur. You could do him black sheep mode or white sheep mode, depending on.
He's the ultimate edgelord. Like he's like the born again Christian that turned into
no. What's his name was the edgelord? Malekith. Malekith was the edgelord, and in the end,
and then he turned out to be not the edgelord.
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, he turns out like he was right all along, and then Tyrion in End Times goes like, nah! And like freaks out about it.
So Malerion would be definitely a model they're gonna make, and
we've already seen artwork of Malerion.
Yeah,
so we know what he's gonna look like when he comes out. He's gonna be a monster looking because he fused with his dragon named what was his dragon name? Dragon's name was named Seraphon, I think. We can check that.
It was
it sounds like Seraphon, but it's not Seraphon like the lizard.
It has Rion, I think. If I remember correct, it's Sepharion, something.
Sepharion, that sounds right.
Yeah.
It has been a long time since I read the Malith Darkblade novels.
It's almost like we don't have tools to look that up in real time.
We don't. I'm living in complete total social distancing.
Like Alex could even share his screen, and we could all be surfing the internet with him on this video. It's an amazing thing.
I don't think I want to see his browser history.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't want to see his browser things.
I mean, you might.
And he's probably one of those sociopaths that has like 90 like Chrome tabs open at the same time. Like,
I don't want to talk.
I don't know about weirdos that have all those tabs open at the same time. There's something wrong.
I have 12 tabs open. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's not
Well,
too bad.
12 tabs.
Garrett, as
12.
he quietly waits the confirmation that he has like 92 open in one browser.
Sometimes I open a third tab.
Yeah, me too, John.
Let's see what do I got right now. I actually just recently reduced my tabs. I went through and cleaned through them, so I only have.
I can use my history. It's like this whole list of links that if I need to reopen a page, I just boom, it's right there.
I have a coworker who has like 80 tabs on his Chrome, and I give him shit every day because all you see is like a portion of the icon, and you're like, "How do you know what that is?" He's like, "I just do."
Is it like the person that has the whole field of icons filling their entire
Yeah.
desk, right? It's like you have 90 icons on there. How are you going to even deal with that?
I only have 25 open on my laptop, and I down to 4 on my phone.
Now, I will give him this. If he told me one of those tabs contains the secret Millerian model, then I will definitely be digging through all 90 of them.
Okay,
Nope.
so real quick, Malekith's mount was named S-E-R-A, or spelled S-E-R-A-P-H-O-N.
So Seraphon.
So it's Seraphon.
No, that sounds familiar. Good. Too bad nobody here in this podcast suggested that was maybe the name of the dragon.
Not at all. Only somebody who was truly a fan. And there is no fans
Cool.
here. Only cool, rational engines.
Yes, just-
Anyways, so our new bovine overlords.
I'm going to jump right in. I love the models. I think
I
they
love
look
the models
awesome.
too.
They look awesome. They really do. They look like they're going to be hell to build,
No,
fuck to paint,
no.
and
No.
fragile as all. I'm thinking bloodthirster fragile there.
I disagree
they're
with
actually pretty
all of
solid.
that. John, look at the model a little closer. Both the main one, like the Lord guy.
That is Avalinor, the Stone Heart King.
Yeah, and now compare him to the other one, which is Alarith, the Spirit of the Mountain. So they're both going to be. It sounds like they're both going to be unique characters, probably.
I thought
But-
the Spirit of the Mountain was the generic one.
Yeah, I think it's just.
Okay. So then now that's likely the generic. But if you look at if you look at really closely, all it is a dual kit that's pretty simple. It's a head swap, it's a shoulder swap, and a weapon swap at the wrist, and you can use one or you can use a different tabard. Those are the only real differences if you look at the armor. The
That's not
tabard
too
is
bad.
the tabard's a different design, different wrists are cut off at the forearms basically. Different head and shoulders, no big deal. Different chest piece, which goes out to the shoulders, of course, because there's different symbols on each one's chest. That's
So
it.
it's similar to like the Tree Lord kit at that point.
Yeah, at that point, I think it's going to be as complex. I would be surprised if it was more complex than a Tree Lord kit.
Okay, so it's funny. I was actually picturing a body underneath the armor that you had to paint, but I just took a quick look at it again, and maybe not that bad. Probably some effort to actually make it look good with all of that. I mean, I don't know what the heck they did on that armor to do like that. Do you think that fancy scroll work is actually on the armor? Or is that all just like crazy freehand on the model and stuff?
That's not freehand. That's on the model.
That's
So
all on the model.
contrast magic will make that look great.
Contrast magic.
George
Contrast-
Lucas approves.
Yes, contrast magic will make that look great.
Fair
This
enough.
this model, like other models, like new models, you can tell they're all basically they will excel under contrast magic.
Except they're white, and
You don't have to paint them white.
Well, okay. Well,
Also, there's white contrast. There's gray contrast.
Yeah,
There's
white contrast looks pretty good. There's some white contrast in action. Oh, no light on him.
yeah.
not focused at all, but yeah, we
That's
get
the worst. Okay. Wait a second. That is why we have
whiskey cam.
the whiskey cam. See, can we do that?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Focusing.
No. No.
Attempt failed.
We'll
Sorry.
post it on Twitter. It'll be
Horrible.
great.
Nope. I won't do any of it. Now it's too much effort. That's it. You all miss
Yeah.
out. I've been mocked by my co-hosts. I'm gonna go cry now. I'm gonna drink whiskey.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I will say one thing about that model, and that's I hope it's not too big.
Mm.
I mean, they in the video they actually showed it with the other models. And
Oh, do they?
I don't think. Yeah.
Are we
They had
talking? We talking Storm Fiend? We talking
No.
Bloodthirster?
It is
Bloodthirst.
looking bloodthirster. Not
Yeah.
only do they cite that it could go toe to toe with a bloodthirster,
That's why I keep saying it.
but when you see if you watch the Elf for Wealth like questionnaire video that they have on the preview.
Yeah.
They have a whole army shot, and you're able to see like the infantry, which are clearly on like 32 mil bases and like
that's what I was talking
characters.
about.
Yeah, but
Oh
those
yeah,
guys are
those
very
new
tall.
infantry look way cool. The Alarith Stone Guard,
Yeah,
I
I
like
don't
those
know.
guys with the hammers.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to see this.
All right.
Oh yeah,
So-
Garrett. Okay, you guys, did you see that? That I at least had a chance of showing what I put in front of the camera.
I don't think.
Yeah, no.
Garrett has never watched a video edit or taken a video editing class or a photography
No,
class,
God,
and,
no.
and it shows. And it shows.
Yeah, no, they're about bloodthirster size, John. Maybe Tree Lord size.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about
Yeah,
right. Tree Lord
Lord
would be
size.
about right.
My bet is on Tree Lord size for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds
on at timestamp 1 minute 17 seconds of the video, you can see the army with all of the little infantry and stuff. So
Yeah.
Can we talk about the Stoneheart infantry for a second? And I know they look amazing, except for their stupid hats. Stupid hats are stupid.
I love these like hammer wielding cleric dudes. Like I actually really like these hammer wielding cleric elves, and like everything about them is cool until you realize that their hats are as tall as they are.
First of all, Croquet Champions 2020.
Right.
Yeah. Second of all, their hats are like basically they have like they're regular cone shaped elf hats, which is great. No problem with that. And then the tippy top of it is the representation of their cow with the giant horn, two horns, and it's just like it looks.
It's a halo.
What would you go into battle with that? What are you planning on doing? Like
no, if you're worshiping a cow
god,
you have a cow halo.
Watch
your cow holiness.
Watch, they get like one extra attack from their horns on their helmet.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
watch,
you gotta get the horn.
Fucking watch, and it like will hit on a 6 or a 5.
If I was
on a 4.
If I was a poor like clan rat model, I would just hit the side of that horn, like from the inside of their helmet, and just twist their head. Like,
grab it on the back. Like
no, it spins, man. It spins.
I mean,
gains momentum.
Luckily for
vortex.
Luckily for this model, it is a ridiculously easy conversion, probably, to make that look great. Like you either can just cut it off. I mean, you got the pointy helmet. Or you could just take that and make that their head. And you got
what do you do? Put the horns coming out the side of their head? That's chaos. No, that's chaos. These guys are elves. They can't be like horns coming out the side of their heads.
I mean,
so you put the horns on a riser because they're above everybody. So their horns are higher. They're kind of more horny than normal.
John, from a lore perspective, every single elf soul in AoS that's not a god now came from.
No, that's right.
No, that's not true.
Okay, vast majority of elves in AoS, vast majority. Like I'm not going to put a percentage to it, but well over 50%.
No.
Came from cows. They all came from cows.
Came from cows.
Are the souls that were distributed off of when they started cycling?
No, the are not from Slanesh.
Yeah,
Wanderers are not from Slanesh.
I get the short on souls. They're out collecting souls.
So it's funny that my colleagues who have not read the lore are trying to correct me on lore. Yeah, the whole part of Nagash's vendetta against the elven gods is that they've been siphoning souls from Slanesh for like millennia.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And that's how they book. It says literally they're not from Slanesh. Only Marathi is.
No, Marathi's from Slanesh, and she takes soul. All because the souls come from Slanesh doesn't mean that they're corrupted by Slanesh. First of all, she was.
Actually, it does. That's why you have the Deepkin, which were the least corrupted.
Good thing we're not a lore podcast. So I like the conversions of having the cow heads instead of the pointy heads.
Alex, could you maybe share the one that you found from a
please
guy?
do.
Yeah, please do the one that you shared with us earlier today.
Oh man, I don't have Twitter on my desktop, so
hold on. Shared it in. Hold on, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it. Where's share screen? Share screen.
There you go. Let's see it. We'll see how many tabs you have open.
Screen.
I'm always afraid. Oh, there we go. Look at that's awesome.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything actually gets recorded. But
wait, is that?
About it.
Wait a second. What the hell am I looking at? Is that a little dude up there?
Yeah, this is the cow head followed by a dude with hammers. This is the perfect conversion. This is what it should be.
That's awesome.
Right?
It's really important that we give credit where credit is due on this one specifically. This is from the YouTuber Haywo. He's got a real funny
Okay,
AoS.
give me back my friends there, Garrett. Turn this stuff off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So here's
this
another
is-
one I saw.
No,
that,
stop now.
How?
No.
Oh my god.
Take your browser. All your tabs are making me dizzy right now.
Help me. I don't know how to get rid of this.
We're gonna
meeting control.
we're gonna fix this.
Yeah,
Stop-
share
stop
screen.
share. There we
I'm
go.
fixing it. I've taken care
Thank
of
you,
it.
thank you,
guys.
Alex.
Yeah.
I
I'm
need
new to this
therapy
Zoom
now.
stuff.
Well, I'm glad that we only got that far because who knows if the screen sharing persisted, we would have probably seen some stuff that we just, quite frankly, didn't want to see.
No.
None of
Did
us.
it really take over all of your screens?
I mean, yeah, it did.
Oh.
So hey, we learned a new thing about Zoom today, but
Yeah,
we were
okay.
all able to see the hilarious conversion. Now, my favorite part of that was the fact that there were two little hammers on the top,
Right.
and the little elf that was being carried by the big elf. So I dig that. I really like the models. I know that you get John. You also like the models. I know Jeremy's not a big fan. I assume Garrett that you are not a huge fan.
No, I love all the models minus the hat. That is my only issue. I
Minus the hat.
love the mountain. I love the boat. So I love that these,
As
are
they say,
moving-
everything before the butt is ignored.
So I like. So I've heard a lot of complaints that people think, oh, if we were hammer wielding elves, this doesn't make sense. Oh, these
Hold
guys
on.
don't really.
There
Okay.
were hammer guards in old Warhammer Fantasy. They were never a unit, but the old guards on certain parts of like Vol's Sanctum, which the hammer of Vol is an artifact in Warhammer Fantasy, and it is an elven god's hammer. But these guards had hammers and they were wielding them in lore. They were never a tabletop unit, but there were people who were elves that had hammers in the lore. And there was also the hammer of Vol.
Yeah, I will personally say that this is the first time I've seen elves with hammers that were
Yeah.
artisan hammers in any fantasy game, trope, story, movie, anything ever. So it's
like,
new and
do we-
unique. So
Hey.
it's new and unique, which I like.
I like the,
why do people feel that we have to follow the standard Lord of the Ring elf trope? I mean, like, these are super cool. Like, they're mountain spirit worshipping elves. They're gonna use fucking hammers, okay? Like, that's
Deal
what
with
they
it.
do. Like,
checkmate atheists, to quote our good friend Ben
Oh, yeah.
Schuller.
Just like why? Like if you're gonna be working a mountain, you don't use a hammer.
yeah, you crush rocks with it.
One of their elves, they would
Where?
use
That's not in a mountain. That's
picks.
like that's the opposite of a mountain. It's in a ditch.
You know the best part is this is like this is a high fantasy, so like you can argue anything.
You're right.
Okay,
Best
great.
part.
So they
That's
should
what I
have,
love about
they
it.
should
so
have
much.
pickaxes. I'm just saying.
They could. They could.
I think they
No,
would.
they should have. They should have
I think
climbing
there's actual
picks.
picks.
Yeah, there you go. Picks would be even better.
Well, if they have an elven minor
And you
faction,
know what, guys? I just realized my conversion of this. I mean, I'm going to put them on skis. The entire army is going to be a Finnish elf army on skis.
There you go.
if that's your prerogative, absolutely.
I kinda like
With
it.
your dark elf Seraphon army.
Yeah, my dark elf Seraphon army.
See, so far, I will actually say, out of all the models we've seen for this, for the Lumineth models, my least favorite is actually that caster that's like meditating and floating
Oh,
on.
is it because it has a giant helmet of horns on it?
Well, I didn't realize. No. It's like to me, it's a little too busy because it's like he's pointing his staff and he's also meditating and he's also looking ornate and he's also on like a hovering shrine that's also on dirt and the dirt's floating on the bottom and there's like all these different things that are coming out and it looks like a totem, which is cool, but like
So,
it's busy.
I think we're gonna find out that like 3 of those kits, I don't know which mage is going to be, but the archers and the spearmen are actually going to be like easy to assemble kits in one of those like campaign boxes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, who are they going to fight? That's the big question.
I mean, giants.
What?
Sons of Behemoth.
Sounds a behemoth.
That would be fucking hilarious. It would be like 3 models versus 30.
I'd be
That
like,
would-
They're probably actually going to fight Bone Reapers if I would pick one, but
Yeah.
New hotness and all that.
no, because Bone Reapers already came out in a box kit.
I know, but
They wouldn't double up. I don't think they would double
I
up.
think they will. I mean, have you seen the leak recently? Like,
They tend to
Okay.
reuse box kit armies too. We see box kit armies recombined.
They can, but how many times have we seen a back-to-back story kit of the same models that wasn't like
We haven't
Primaris
Or-
back-to-back, but there's a Space Wolf upgrade kit and a Blood Angels upgrade kit, you know, like outside
Well,
of that.
I was thinking more like Stormcast, but I guess they're also unique. And
Yeah, there were different chambers of Storm, totally different models in the back-to-back sets. There was a rumor mill that came out today, which Jeremy just mentioned.
oh
which
wait,
was
wait, wait! Before we get to that rumor mill, okay?
Mhm.
Because we're still talking about the previews over here.
Yeah,
There was
yeah.
one other thing that did come out as part of the preview about, and we all know that next Saturday we're going to get the, as they say, the even bigger announcements. But it's worth mentioning that the Warhammer Adventures, the audiobooks, these are the children's audiobooks, have all been put on sale for 99 cents. So if you got some kids around the house and you're looking to spend some time, or if you have a low
you don't
reading
have any
level
kids.
yourself, then go ahead and download those, and you might enjoy them. So a nice opportunity to share some time with your kids, story time with your kids,
yes.
or your whoever might be interested around your house. You know,
Yeah. You never know. You never know how exciting or how
I think
much
it's gonna be
integration.
I mean, you know, there's some good stuff. I mean, I don't know if you've looked at these, Alex. Right? We've got the Realm Quest with the City of the Lifestone, pretty exciting. And then over in the 40K, some Necron crappy ass story. But there's also one about the Glorious Tau over there that's probably
Can't
pretty
do it.
awesome too to listen to. So
I can't do like not like especially for 40K universe like non-grim darkness like I just can't do it, man. I can't do it.
no
It's not
happy
work for me.
Necrons. Woo-hoo!
Like yeah, like it's in like I remember reading one of their first comic books for it too. It was just like kids like it was like Johnny Quest for like
Johnny
Warhammer.
Quest. That's a real good call of the level it's at. I would Johnny Quest right there.
I couldn't do it. It's too happy-go-lucky for me.
I can see that.
In Warhammer, the good guy doesn't exist, so there is no good winning.
Well, in Warhammer 40K, the good guy doesn't exist.
Well,
They're
I
not
mean,
as
is there
grimdark
good guys
as
in
they were.
Warhammer Age of Sigmar?
Yeah, order.
It's
honestly.
arguably order.
Good guys. They
Hold
got
on.
dark elves.
Okay. They have dark elves. And
Stormcast are like Nazis, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Ideneth. Those are not good guys.
Cities of Sigmar, if anything.
Clearly, Skaven are the good guys. Like, let's be real, guys.
Well,
Yes, you're right. They are
from
their perspective.
their
the good
perspective.
guy.
No, from everyone's perspective, they're just trying to take everything from you and, you know,
From a
spread
certain
that
point of
Skaven
view.
goodness.
Yeah.
And I just I didn't want to like derail the Warhammer Adventures announcement, which I think is cool that they want to broach this
Yeah.
to wider audience.
Yeah. You got to engage with the children.
Well, let's be
I
honest.
mean, I don't want to engage with any children. Let's be fair. I'm super done with children.
Your days of children are over.
I don't think Warhammer had a problem attracting children to this hobby. I think 3 out of the 4 of us here started as young adults in this hobby.
Fair.
So I don't think this is targeting kids. I think this is targeting the parents who are not into Warhammer to be okay with them being in Warhammer.
I agree completely.
Yeah,
Well,
okay,
to
you're
those
right.
people-
We could have Friendly Adventure Children's Johnny Quest or Blood Cauldron. I guess one is more or non shall we say hobby centric parent acceptable.
So yeah, it's just my hot take. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think
fair.
it's
That's fair.
targeting
Like my
a lot of
mom would have
those
bought me a
kids.
Realm Quest book, but you know.
Like any kid, you take any like 8 to like 14-year-old kid, boy or girl, show him the hobby, the game, like a single game, and they're actually honestly going to be interested in it. It doesn't matter what kind of kid they are. And like it's the adventure thing. I don't think Penders is an additional revenue source for them as much as I think it's a way for them to have a more kid-friendly atmosphere. So they're trying to make it okay because the people who are buying these models for these kids are not the kids; it's the parents.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah,
So,
and it's nice to have that. I know when I'm running tournaments, it's always cool. You get a lot of kids that come through the big game store. That, like you said, um I'm assuming it's hard for me to judge kids' ages nowadays, but I'm like that 10-year-old age seems to be like they're definitely not teenagers, so they're smaller coming through with their parents, and they're the ones they always get excited like, what's this? And as the TO. I make a real effort to engage with children, engage with parents, so that the parents see the child being interested, and then I try to make a judgment call. Like, is this a Warhammer already parent who happens to be over here, or is this a non-Warhammer parent where I should then say some cool stuff to the parent that might allow the child to explore their burgeoning interest in Warhammer as well. So that community stuff, always important. And soon, and sooner than you expect, my friends, we will have community again. We will have tournaments again. We will be out there. The format, things may have changed, what have you, but we will most definitely be competing again sooner than later.
Oh God, I really hope so. I'm
losing
my mind here.
I hear you, man. I mean, we're all facing it. We're all facing it, right? But one last thing, and I know Alex was trying to bring it up, but then I wanted to talk about the Warhammer Quest. But Alex, please bring us back to the center of the road.
Oh yeah. Well, all I was gonna say is that we all saw the rumor mill today, and it was a blade. And
oh yeah, did you guys see that? I think it's a new Skaven model.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
I'm picturing like what is that? The pit and the pendulum. So I'm picturing like a big pendulum, kind of like a war machine or something.
To be fair, John,
on the base dead. Don't worry about it.
Anything's a Skaven model if you try hard enough.
And truly. But the funny thing was, like, even Bone Reaper players and like the Bone Reaper Facebook groups and stuff were just like, "Oh, is this going to be a Legion and a Gash model? I don't know. I don't think this is a Bone Reaper model." And it has clearly like the Soul Stone for Bone Reapers that they all have everywhere, all over. But not only that, but it actually has like that dynastic rune for like the wizards of the like the wizard case cast for Bone Reaper. So it's like
the actual symbol that's on that
the actual symbol for it, like the sign of office, sign of hierarchy, symbol status thing. And so it's clearly going to be a caster. I thought at first it was going to be a new caster or a named caster. I've actually changed my mind since then. I actually think that this is probably a preview for like an event only, or like a new like special version of a model that you can buy at like a Games Workshop's birthday or something. I think that they're just going to make a Soul Reaper model because it looks like a reaping blade or some sort of weird like scythe thing. It looks like a very unique big blade, and I'm convinced that it's just going to be a new Soul Reaper model, which is a caster for Bone Reapers. It's probably the least. It's probably the worst war scroll in the book, or at least the least effective war scroll in most competitive builds. So you're really not going to see the model, but it's a 120-point caster, so it is the cheapest unit in the entire game. That's like an actual model. That's a unit unit war scroll. So I'm thinking it's just a new sculpt of that you have to buy in a certain way. That's just my take.
Interesting.
My take is that it's a unit for OBR that specializes in hunting wizards, because Chaos is a lot of that, and OBR are like anti-chaos.
I like how the Ever Chosen book ended with Catacross getting murked like immediately after Lady O did, and like Lady O goes back to Shyish, and then Catacross his soul goes back to Shyish, and he you see his like army of Catacross bodies, and he's just like the most DBZ villain ending. It was like, I learned his secret and his style and his fighting form, so now I know how to beat him. And it's like, okay, dude, like, cool, whatever. Like, he's
Goku, saying Goku from DBZ. He's not the villain.
Yeah, maybe.
He gets stronger every time he dies.
Yeah, so there you go. So it's more of that. So it's
Super Saiyan.
Lawful evil versus chaotic evil. But
I think those are a new unit for OBR. I think they're going to be witch hunters.
I would love new depth units only because I really I love how Nagash and Archon got updated into the OBR book. And if they're going to release a new book, I want Neffy and Manfred to get updated.
Well, it certainly will. If it is a witch hunting unit, I certainly would be excited because I saw the other thing that was leaked today was the Psychic Awakening book after War of the Spiders called Pariah, and I'm an old Necron player at heart, so Pariahs and an OBR anti-witch
Not
unit.
just that hard, guys.
I've been playing Necron since 5th edition. I don't know what you're talking about.
I wasn't talking about Necrons. John looks over there, smug. No, it was They're
I just
They're
discovered
probably
there's a
gonna be-
chat channel on this thing. You guys have a whole chat thing. There's information I should have known.
Oh, yeah.
Is that our agenda? Oh,
Yes,
no wonder
that
I've been
was our
talking about random
agenda.
stuff.
Well, I
You
guess that the final thing on our agenda then is to talk about apparently what facial hair we're all
Yes.
going to do.
Yes,
In
we
the
should have a
future.
Twitter post from Alex to ask what beard style. Well, I'll do it. I don't really care.
It doesn't have to be me. No. We all have facial hair. I think we should all discuss what we're going to do with our facial hair.
No, it just says Alex.
Why
It's
me?
what beer style
The agenda
that's what the
says
topic
just
is.
Alex.
Garrett,
Yeah,
you have-
But I'm just following the agenda. I mean,
Well,
the agenda was set.
Here's
so-
what I'm looking at. Okay, so I myself, I actually trimmed my beard down. I took about 2.5 inches off the bottom here at the beginning because I didn't want to end up being all scruffy while I'm shut in. Jeremy, I see, is expressing his wild man side. And if he keeps going, there's going to become an imbalance between which hair is in which zone. And that's never a good look. Garrett has gone so wild with his beard that I see it's like the parting of the Red Sea right here. And then what's going on like this? Have you been like just yanking your beard coming out like this? That's going out. So 3 of us are in beard failure at this moment. Whereas we look at our leader, our executive producer, our producer, I should say, Alex, and his beard is very well trimmed. It's full. It's thick.
you.
It looks nice.
Yeah.
I think that's a beard that from where he is now, the thing is it's boring. It's, it's douchebag face beard, right? So, no, please.
Oh, don't you dare fucking tempt me because I will do just a soul patch. It'd be
And so that's what I'm saying. So from
Or
here,
like a
he could go
thin
go
goatee.
biker mustache. He could do the like this and take the middle and the
I
sides
want the
out.
Burt Reynolds.
He could go mutton chops. You talking mutton chops, right?
Well, truly what I want is actually on my hair. I have a huge poof for hair right now. Probably matted down if I took it off.
Is that what the hat is about?
That's absolutely what the hat's about. But I truly should just, what I want is I want like little lightning bolts or whatever on the side of my head now, or like dice for LVO or something. That's what I want to do. But my stylist is like totally down for the count until everything turns around.
Everybody is self-styling right now. I say you get the self-groomer. No, you got one, and you just go for it. Because like if you mess up the first time, you got a chance now for it to grow in and try again before anyone actually sees you.
I already warned my fiance. I was like, I'm gonna get if this goes any longer, I'm just gonna shave my hair and just see what happens. Why is someone video share? Oh my god!
So this is
I
what Alex
hate
needs to
this
do.
so
It is.
much.
He can rock the Burt Reynolds so well. It's not even
Yeah,
funny.
I see it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I see it. Like you got
Okay,
you
okay,
got the hair for
okay,
it. You just
fine.
need to get the Burt Reynolds stash.
We'll see.
That'll be happening.
We'll put a poll out there or something.
Yeah, well, let's have people vote. Should Alex go Burt Reynolds? Yes, definitely yes. Yes, he's doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, the only choice is on the poll.
Great.
Great is for best.
Yeah, you're like yes, no. It's like one of those things. It's like if you vote no, it's like, are you sure you want to vote no? Okay.
It's
So
like, have you guys seen one of those? Have you guys seen one of those Trump approval rating surveys on Facebook?
No. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just like so. Like yes or like yes.
It's like the old what's it called? The late night TV host who was on Comedy Central. Oh my god, I forgot his name. He did the satire of the Stephen Colbert. It was like
Stephen
watching a Stephen Colbert like poll basically.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh boy. Well, we'll see. We'll find out. We'll see if enough people vote. If there's enough outreach, maybe I'll do it. We'll see. In the meantime, definitely comment and subscribe on our YouTube channel for these videos and John's YouTube channel too, because they'll be cross-posted there. John, what's your YouTube handle?
It is Zeztuku.
Perfect. And hit us up on Twitter or Facebook. We're going to be on the FLG roll most weeks. If you have anything that you want to see, or if you have a comment like the facial hair thing, who knows, we'll do something there. Preferably, I really don't want to change it, but we'll see what happens. Right there, his writing. So John's got his
You need the at symbol, John. The at.
Yes,
Zentuku.
and that's also his Twitter handle, by the way.
No, it's not. It says Tuki on.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Oh, so YouTube is at Zeztuku, which is all your other stuff, and then Twitter is as Zeztuku. Is Zeztuku available on Twitter?
Well, here's the thing: is Zez being my childhood nickname, and I'm of course too cool, so too cool, right? And I was doing this. I think Crash Bandicoot was popular, so there was like a whole island thing in my mind when it was going on. So that's why I came up with Zeztuku. But when Twitter came out, like I established a Twitter account when it first came out. They recommended that you don't use the same handle as your email. And since Zeztuku was my email, I went with Zeztuki because that was super clever.
Well, it sounds like we're too cool for a standard run-of-the-mill outro. But with that being said, give us a like, subscribe, and we will talk to you guys all next week. Follow John. Just follow John. Just in general, follow John. Everyone have a good night.
Night, everyone.
Night.